What's going on, guys? Good evening. It's Brandon. So this is going to be a pretty bombshell video as well. This is actually information I may have shared a long time ago, and I've known about it, but I just, for some reason, I never connected the dots. And anyhow, let's get into this. So back when I was communicating with my inside guys about the tunes of the C8s and how it all worked, and understanding Global B for the first time, I came to understand that General Motors basically has everything sectioned off into different sections, and only certain people have passwords to certain sections. That way it minimizes the leaks, the moles. Like if somebody wants to like leak information to HP tuners or Trifecta, they can narrow it down to one of a couple people if they minimize who has access to what sections. Well, the holy grail of all the different code in the car, according to my guys a long time ago, and they willfully gave me this information. I wasn't asking for it. They made a really big deal about it. They said, you know what the most secret code in the car is? I said, what's that? They said the brake control module. I said, what do you mean? They said whenever HP Tuners gets into a car, whether it's a C7 or C6 or whatever, you'll notice that the brake control module on the C7 and after is like never accessible by HP Tuners. And I said, okay, so what? They said General Motors is real fucking paranoid about the brake control module. The brake control module has final override of every other module in the car. And I said, well, it makes sense, you know, if the car needs to stop and then the computer wants the car to stop, you don't want the engine to be fighting against the brakes and everything. You want the brakes to be the one who wins. If the customer pushes both pedals, brake and gas, you want the brake pedal to win. He said, no, but you don't understand. There's something going on. And I said, this is a long time ago, guys. This is like years ago that I learned this. And I mean, I filed it away in my filing cabinet. I'm like, okay, cool. Something's going on with the brake control module, whatever. So if you watch the recent videos I put up about how, okay, so you got normal electronic stability control where the brakes lock up different corners to pull the car around the curve, and or which is like torque vectoring, and or just, you know, stability control where when the car starts to get squirrely, it locks up different corners and gets the car back square. So we all know what that's about, right? We all know what that's about. And don't get me wrong, that could be the culprit. Because let's be real, if, like for instance, let's say when you're locking up your brakes and the car is square, you've got all four corners at max potential trying to slow the car down, right? Well, if you're trying to get the car back to square, okay, and it's spinning as you're locking up all the brakes, relativity means you have to disable the brake on at least one tire, at least one, so that the braking effect of the other three has a rotational effect on the car. You follow what I'm saying? You can't leave all four wheels locked up. You've got to unlock one so that the other three braking is now having a corrective rotating force on the car that General Motors is scared is spinning. So for those of you who say, first and foremost, that I'm full of shit, that the cars take away brakes, every C8 owner who's a good driver and knows how to take cars to the limits, and you don't even have to take it to the racetrack to do it. I've had people at car dealerships tell me that it's happened to them. Like I can sit here and name off 10 people just off the top of my head who are like, Brandon, the brakes on this car do really weird shit where they deactivate. It's still stopping, but at a very slow pace, at a very, lightened pace. And it lasts for like a certain duration of time until it finally gives it back to you. I said, yeah, I know, it's done it to me too. It's not just like this little like blip it thing. It's like a period of time that goes by. Because the whole time you have super anxiety. You're like, I need to stop. Oh my God, it finally is going to stop. Okay, thank God I didn't die. Okay, thank God I didn't total the car. So it's not just like this one little blip it moment. It's like this moment where the car, it's a long moment, guys. Like, it lasts for seconds. It's not just like 1 second. It's at least 2 seconds, like 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. I'd say to me, it's happened every time it's been at least 3 1,000 minimum of how long this duration of time lasts where I don't have full brakes. So understand something. Electronic stability control, they can't continue to leave one tire unlocked and the other 3 activated with full braking, because then the car would start spinning the other way. It would correct and then start spinning the other way. 3 seconds is way too long to just default and say, we're going to do this for 3 seconds and then everything should be good. No, you do it by the millisecond. You're checking in. And where's the car at now relative to the gyroscopes, the accelerometers? Where's the car now? Okay, good. We got it straight again. Unlock everything back to where everything's equal to the 4 tires, right? To the 4 wheels for the brakes. So hopefully you follow what I'm saying. So with all that being said, once you understand that there's a 3 1,000 program that myself and many other people have experienced. Like, if you've experienced it, go ahead and comment in the comments. Don't worry about the troll people and General Motors. Who cares about all these fucking loser people? The point is, those of us who drive, I mean, I've had it happen many times. I used to make videos of it happening on country roads, and I'm like, I made a screaming video about it because it's going to get somebody killed. It's going to get me killed. So I made a screaming video about it. I was like, Harlan, Taj, get your fucking asses out here. Come drive this road right here. I can make it happen like clockwork. There's a certain road where I can make it happen like clockwork in the Stingray. Now, at the Z06, I'm not going to lie. I've lost the guts to brake late in the C8 platform with e-diffs. I've just lost the guts to do it because this is not... See, General Motors, I'm right. I'm dead now, but I'm right. It's like you're yelling at deaf ears, basically. They don't care. So it's really, you either have to solve the problem or you have to just realize General Motors doesn't care. So you say, well, then why do you keep making these videos? Well, because these other people that there's diamonds in the rough. People give me bits of information along the way. But the point is, back to the 3 1,000 concept. So I'm talking to one of my inside guys, a couple of them, and I'm sitting there saying, what's the deal with this secret brake program that locks up for, or unlocks the brake slightly for 3 seconds and you're only at 80% braking force? I mean, the guy who wrecked the car at Laguna Seca, you can see it on his PDR. His car's only pulling 0.8 lateral Gs in longitudinal Gs, whatever you want to call them, in the braking direction. He's only pulling 0.8. The car's good for one lateral G all day long of braking force. So 0.8 is a 20% reduction in brake force. And I'm like, what's the deal with this secret program? Like, what are the parameters that trigger it? And no sooner did that question roll off my tongue than I already had the answer better than my inside guys. My inside guys said, we don't know what you're talking about. And I said, of course you don't. They said, what do you mean? I said, there's only 2 people who know there's only 2 people who for sure know what I'm talking about. Mark Royce might know. Taj might know. Okay. The new guy, what's his face? Who replaced Taj. He might know. But the people who actually have access to the program to edit it, there's 2 people, guys. Think about that for a second. The only reason why they probably give it to 2 people is in case one drops dead and doesn't show up to work tomorrow. They need somebody to be able to get in there without it being like national security bullshit. But you know what I'm saying. That was the wrong choice of words, but you know what I'm saying. General Motors treats this braking program like the stealth bomber. Like the United States Air Force treats the stealth bombers, like where it's only for the highest highest guys to have access to, because they're so scared about us finding out what is in that program. See, here's what it boils down to. Let's get back to what would happen if we had access to that program. We would be able to go into the brake control module and we'd be able to see different programs. There's like layers of programs. You got your ABS program, you got your ESC program, you got your different like race 1, race 2, race 3, or not race 3, but sport, blah, blah, blah. You got your different PTM modes. So each one's got its own, you know, program for what the brakes are going to do in those modes, how they're going to interfere with the ESC. You have all this stuff, right? But then you find this program that you don't know what it is. And you're talking to somebody like me, and you're like, there's this one that I can't figure out what it is. I'm like, and they're like, but it has to do with 80% brake force. Bingo. Or 20% reduction in brake force. Bingo. That's the one that they do to get the car where they assume that you're locking up from a high-speed turn, and until you get down to a certain speed, do they remove that program again, because it prevents you from spinning the car, because they just don't let the brakes lock up enough to spin, okay? To spin the car, to get this car unhooked from the pavement. So they take away our brake force, and it increases our brake distance by 20%. It's a serious fucking safety hazard, because a good driver, they're stopping within like a 2% error. You know, 20% is like eternity longer. It's ridiculously longer. It's a very bad thing if you wait till the very last second to go around a turn and all of a sudden it does this shit, which is what happened to the guy at Laguna Seca. He was getting faster and faster each lap, and all of a sudden they pulled his brakes and he only had 80% brake force. So with all that said, if we could get in and shut off that program, now you could literally take two C8s and show that one stops well and the other one doesn't. And as you do that, you would also, because see, once you keep two C8s at pace with each other and you show that one stops faster than the other one, everybody be outraged. They'd be like, General Motors, why does your program not make the car stop as fast as possible? Well, then the second thing that you'd soon see when the program is deactivated, okay, is you might see a C8 spin. So imagine for a second that HP Tuners allowed people into this thing, and all of a sudden the C8 starts spinning. Well, the public watching the cars on YouTube, they don't know if the guy's got his car tuned or not. He's not going to brag, especially if he's dead afterwards. He's not going to brag and say, hey, I deactivated the program. That's why the car spun. He's not going to brag, okay? He's dead. He's not bragging. Or, you know, even if he wrecks and he's still alive, he's not going to brag that he altered the program. So General Motors knows that they're going to get bad publicity because the cars are going to spin because they're weighted like old school Porsches, where the back end's going to come around, which was the whole problem why they went to all this EDIF bullshit and this other program that I'm talking about. We'll call it the mystery 80% brake program. Let's just put a name to it so we can keep things straight. So this isn't ESC and this isn't the EDIF program. This is, you know, it's not one of the PTM modes. It's not ABS. This is the mystery 80% brake program is really what it comes down to, guys. But we got to give it a separate name because it happens. And once I describe it to people, they're like, yeah, that's what happened to me. It really scared me because I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, it's okay. So anyway, back to where I'm going with this whole thing. Now the C8 gets a bad reputation for being a spinner. Even if the customer has it in regular PTM touring. You see what I'm saying? Even if the customer's in regular, full, everything on, and they were to change this brake program for the better brakes, now the cars can spin. Because now it provides enough brake force when you're coming into the turns to unhook the tires, because when you have lateral Gs, side-to-side Gs, plus longitudinal Gs of stopping force, that overworks the tire. So for instance, like if you have a program, it all comes back to the Pythagorean theorem like I was talking about the other night. A squared B squared equals C squared. That's how you do the sum of vectors to find the ultimate force vector. So let's say you're going around a turn at 1.2 lateral Gs and you hit your brakes, and your brakes are allowed to go to one lateral G, okay, around you go. Because you know, you either get it or you don't. You need to go learn about the sum of directional vectors and the ultimate angle of the sum of all vectors, and why the Pythagorean theorem is used to calculate for that. But the point is this. The PTM modes can't save it if General Motors has that program not become active to protect the car when it just determines that it's needing to do what it's going to do. And so let's back up. Everybody keeps saying that the bankruptcy is what caused General Motors to hold off on the mid-engine car. I beg to differ. The mid-engine car wasn't ready yet, because they started to realize that under Tadge's chosen weight distribution of 3961, okay, which he liked to correct me when I told Tadge, he's like, well, it's 3960. I'm like, come on, man. Can we not do math? I get it, you're rounding up on one and not rounding up on the other, but the point is, it's okay, regardless. We'll just evaporate a percentage point, Tadge. He's real particular about that. He's 3960. Okay, Tadge. 99% of the weight of the car is present, but the other 1% is missing. So what it comes down to, in my opinion, is they needed more time and thought of what they were going to do, and they also wanted to wait for society to become more computerized and the cars to become more watered down, and the next generation to come along who's accustomed to all this bullshit. They didn't postpone the C8 because of the bankrupt. They didn't postpone the mid-engine car because of the bankruptcy. They postponed the mid-engine car because it wasn't ready yet. And the reason why they had to keep it so secret is because they were worried that it was going to crash front-engine C7 sales if everybody knew that the C8 was coming. So they had to do this program. And as they're doing that, it was in the C7 era when they were having to do this stuff, which is why in the C7, General Motors already decided, okay, the people who actually have access to the brake program are going to be 2 people. This thing needs to be like fucking Fort Knox, where we've got it down to 2 people who are going to fucking both potentially be canned. Lie detector tests, we only have to lie detector test 2 people. We only have to go through 2 people's lives to figure out which one of these 2 people was the leak. Because General Motors knows that if we have access to this program, it's a domino effect of disaster. It's the Titanic sinks. Because if you're GM and all of a sudden it's shown that the car can actually stop faster in certain situations with a skilled driver who doesn't spin it, everybody else is going to demand that program. Most other people are going to end up spinning the car.